The Porsche 911 Carrera T and the Taycan GTS, two very different products in the Porsche portfolio. We're going to get behind the wheel of both these cars and put them through the paces, and to answer the question, why does Porsche make these two very different cars with different propulsion systems, and can the company support both of them in this day and age? Joining me now is Frank Wiesman at Porsche Cars North America. So Frank, we have two very different cars here, but they're actually not so different. What's going on exactly? Why are we seeing these two cars today?
Yeah, good to see you again, Pras. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, we have two very enthusiast-focused cars here with us today for you to drive, that you've been driving, but in very different ways. On the one hand, we have our 911 Carrera T, which is a model that some people may be familiar with. It's been around for a while now in several generations. It is our lightest 911 Carrera. Very enthusiast focused with weight saving measures like a lightweight glass on the coupe, reduced sound deadening, a manual transmission in the case of the latest car, only available with a manual transmission, a 6-speed manual as opposed to a 7-speed manual before, so very precise shift action, lighter weight because you're one gear less. But then we also have the new Taycan GTS, and I remember us talking about the last one at the LA Auto Show a few years ago, so now we have a new car. It's got about 100 horsepower more than before, so we're kind of coming up on 700 horsepower now, and in typical GTS fashion, which is kind of the sweet spot of the range for enthusiast drivers, it has a distinctive look, specific chassis tuning, more power than a 4S, sits between 4S and turbo, and obviously an all-electric car, the Taycan, but very different approach, but both target enthusiast drivers if you're looking for that respective powertrain, which kind of mirrors and showcases our current powertrain strategy. We're aiming to offer electric cars. We've expanded now the Taycan range with this model. We've also introduced the new Macan all-electric recently, but we still have a gas-powered Macan, the generation that everybody knows from years past. We have Cayenne and Panamera models with hybrid powertrains. And we've also said, looking forward, that we still intend to offer the Cayenne with those kinds of powertrains, in addition to an all-electric one at some point mid-decade. So there's a lot going on there.
Right, stay tuned for that Cayenne coming up.
Yeah.
But for the cars that we have here, I think what really kind of is drawing my attention, I think other people in the industry, is the fact that Porsche is sort of taking both sides of the trade here, right? Mm-hmm. We have the all-electric Taycan, and now in GTS form, the enthusiast version of that car. And then we have the Carrera T behind us, which is basically the enthusiast non-GT 911, right? Mm-hmm. There is a business case there for the manual transmission.
Yes.
For also a cabriolet.
Yes.
What does that say about the Porsche brand that you can support two different types of powertrains like that?
It really speaks to, no matter what the powertrain is, it always should reflect the company's core values when it comes to the car. It's meant to be a driver's car, it's meant to be engaging, it's meant to be practical. So these are cars that you can drive every day, they're comfortable enough, they're efficient, but it really is meant to put a smile on your face on back roads like we have out here in North Georgia, but also on your drive to the grocery store or on your drive to work. And there's no reason why an electric car can't do that, hence the Taycan. But we're also still very passionate about very analog cars. The Carrera T is a pure combustion engine car. It's got a 6-speed manual. Manual transmission is something that particularly our two-door sports car buyers enjoy. The US is pretty much the biggest market for us when it comes to people that are looking for a transmission like that. So all of our 718 Boxster Cayman models, with the exception of the RS branded cars, have a manual available. And for the 911 now, we have the 911 GT3 that has a 6-speed manual. And then here in a little more attainable price point, around $135,000, $140,000, we have the coupe and cabriolet Carrera T with a 6-speed manual. So if you're really wanting to be one with the car, row your own gears, and have that engaging element that many purist drivers still find very important. They want to shift themselves. That's just an additional layer of involvement with the car. We can offer that, and we like to.
Right, and the Porsche buyer is a different buyer than other traditional automakers. So one of your colleagues told me about how these two cars, the Carrera T and the Taycan GTS, obviously very different in terms of style and propulsion systems, but still retain the Porsche DNA of performance and sort of just what you need to get the most out of the car and on the road. Do you think, saying that, do you think that other automakers got it wrong by either focusing too much on EVs or not enough on them?
I can't speak to that, but I would say that for us, we always wanted to remain flexible with the powertrain strategy. As you alluded to, different markets develop in different ways when it comes to, for example, EV adoption. That has to do with regulations that are incoming, which are stricter in some areas and not so much in others, but also customer demand. Some people really want an EV. Their environment at home, where they park the car, charge the car, the way they use it, supports that, and other people do not. And they might be a little bit skeptical. And maybe a hybrid that offers some electrification, but still retains the familiarity and security of a gas engine makes that entry a little easier. So having that option and giving people that choice to say, well, I'm choosing it's always going to be a Porsche, but I'm choosing the powertrain that best suits my needs and that I'm most comfortable with, was very important to us. So as long as we can offer those choices, and we wish to expand on that with the Cayenne having ultimately all three of those powertrains at some point when we introduce an electric one, we want to do that, and we want to continue doing that as long as we can.
And I know that supporting this many powertrains is not exactly cheap. It costs a lot of money to develop and then keep enhancing and then produce new products. I know that you're focused, Frank, mostly on North America and all the sports car business, right? How is that business looking like in America these days? You know, we've seen some luxury downturns here and there with some brands and even the larger luxury space. How is Porsche feeling that from a sports car point of view?
Mm-hmm. We're fortunate. We're doing really well in that regard. The 911 is selling really well. We've just introduced the latest generation. The T is the latest example of that latest generation. But even our 718 Boxsters and Caymans, which are very familiar cars at this point, they've matured, they've been around for quite a while. We've introduced some exciting new variants of those the last couple of years. We were talking about the 718 Spider RS earlier, which is a very pure open top Boxster-based car that has the GT3's engine. We are seeing a huge demand, particularly for these enthusiast-focused versions, for the 911 and the 718 Boxster Cayman in general. It's this core group of Porsche enthusiasts that still want these pure combustion engine cars, perhaps with a manual transmission or with the PDK. But we don't really see a downturn there when it comes to the interest in our sports cars. There's strong demand. We have great products to answer to that demand, and we hope that will continue, but we're pretty confident with the offering we have that there's going to be continued interest.
So last question here, you know, it's kind of a two-parter. I want you to show me first what some of the design elements on the exterior that you actually are really fond of on the new T. Mm-hmm. Secondly, what does 911 still mean to Porsche? Is this Porsche? Is the 911 really all about what Porsche is?
That's the perfect way to put it. 911 is Porsche, and if you look at the silhouette of a Cayenne, or the idea that you have sound like the electric sports sound on the Taycan to have this audible backdrop engagement of what the powertrain is doing, all of that, everything we do goes back to the 911. That's our icon. That is the benchmark for not just us as a company, but also other model lines to be the sports car of their respective segment. And if you're talking about details, so we talked about the larger wheels, for example, that the car has compared to the standard Carrera. The Carrera T always comes with these graphics, which you can also get in another color. There's a gentian blue option. And then because this is a manual transmission car, we have these little teasers or hints on the car. This sticker, for example, with the manual transmission pattern. You'll find the similar things like that with the MT logo at the transmission case where it would say PDK otherwise. So just to remind people that it's a bit of a wink and a bit of a celebration of all of that, since we're really proud to still be offering it.
Yeah, a lot of Porsche fans are very fond of these little things, little Easter eggs or just little things that harken back to the past and what the tradition of the car is. Frank, thank you so much. I know these stickers will be worth a lot of money, so look for them in the app.
Grab them while you can.
Yeah, thanks again. Thank you, Frank.